Naomi here. I've got a few things to talk to you about for Fernli Designs today. We're not going to be making the items I've got showing, they're just there for you to have something to look at really. The first thing I'd like to talk to you about is Fernli Designs guest design team. They're looking for a few members for some slots they've got left over for this year, and the requirements are normally that you'd have a blog and a YouTube, and while those are still preferred, they're also looking at people that don't have those, people who have a different slant on how their products could be used. So if you've got ideas, what you need to do is send some pictures of your makes to fernlidesigns@gmail.com. That's fernlidesigns@gmail.com. As I said, send a few pictures of things that you've made and say why you'd like to be on the team. The guest design team slot is for 3 makes. You get to choose the bits that you use, and all of your makes need to be completed in 1 month. So if you think that's something that you could do, give it a go. You never know. It is a lot of fun. Okay, the second thing I'd like to talk to you about today is the new challenge that's running in the Fernli Designs group, and that's called Love Is. For this challenge, we would like you to make something that follows that theme, a love theme. It doesn't need to be hearts and flowers, it can be anything that you like, but you do need to say how it fits in with the theme. Now, for the first time, Fernli are doing a challenge that doesn't require you to use Fernli products. There are 2 prizes on offer. The first prize, which is slightly smaller, will be for those who don't use Fernli products. And if you do use Fernli products, you'll be in for a chance at the bigger prize. Now, the prize won't be Valentine's themed, even though it finishes on Valentine's Day, but you may still find that you get some hearts in your package. So that one. So today what I'll be doing is taking you through a tutorial, not what you can see in front of you. I'll show you that in just a second. If you're stuck with some ideas and you'd like to have a go at the dimensional storage boxes, that you can find those in the events under craft along. If they're not there, give me a shout and I'll put that back up for you. We did have it up there before. So enough waffle, I'll get on with the tutorial. Hello, I'm going to show you how to make a version of this tag you can see here. There's quite a few different ways of doing this tag, and I'll show you one way here. So you could do it with hearts instead of cogs, and the 1 inch hearts would work really well. That's a 2 inch heart in the middle with another heart over the top. So as you can see, there are different layering options. You could also, instead of a heart, use one of the mannequin figures. That fits nicely into the gap, and that would go really well with the cogs. Oh, you could even have the heart behind. Oh, I like that. Might do that actually. It works well with the heart behind it, so I think I'll do that one for our tutorial. Okay, so this is what we're making. I'll explain what parts you need, what tools you need, and then we'll get started. Okay, this is what we'll be using today, and you will need a pack of the extra large tags. They come in a pack of 3, and as you can see, the tops on each one are different, and on my original one I used the 3rd one from the pack. Now this one is the same shape as this one, which is an extra large tag frame. Okay, now this comes in 2 styles. You can have it with an oval cutout, or you can have it with a rectangle cutout. That's the one we'll be using today, and as I said, it matches up with that one. The next thing that we'll be using is cogs from the bag of mixed cogs. Obviously you won't need that much, but I love my cogs, so I wanted to show them off. We'll be using the 2 inch heart. Now Fernli do hearts that start at 1 inch, and I believe go up to 6 inches, though if you have a chat, if you need something bigger, they might be able to cut that for you. So it's your 2-inch heart we're using. This is the chunky dress form. It comes in 2 sizes, the large and the small, and for this project I'll be using the small one. And the last piece I'll be using are flourishes 2, and I will be using the needle size. These come as a pack of 6. I'm using a needle size to create wings. They do wings, but I wanted something a bit more swirly. So that's what we'll be using Fernli Designs wise. I'll show you what we're going to be using as far as materials are concerned. This is what I'll be using to decorate my tag. So on the original piece, the background you can see there is a dada, and it's a Twinkling H2O's Radiant Rain, and the colour is called Teal Zircon. Okay, and that's got a green mica in it. The red colour I've used here is another H2O. She says looking for the name. This one's called Spiced Pumpkin, and it has gold mica in it. So it doesn't pick it up on camera, but there is a subtle gold shimmer on there. Okay. I also used that on the heart, so I'll be using that on my heart again. The cogs that I used, I used Deco Art Crafters acrylic. Use whatever paint you'd like, or use the daggers, ink, whatever you like. But I'm using Dirt Sienna. And to get the two-toned effect, you can see here, which I did on all of the cogs. They've all got the ink in different places. I used, sorry if that's blurry, see if I can get that in focus, Ground Espresso Distress Ink for the darker sections. Ooh, it's not quite in. Okay, the bits I'm adding that are extra, the flourishes that I'm using for the wings, I am going to be using another Radiant Rain colour. This one is called Periwinkle, and the wings will be done in that one. It's a lovely purple, and that's got a light purple mica in it, a lilac mica. Just stick that on there. And the last thing I'll be using is my chunky dress form, and that will actually be coloured in a black permanent marker. I've got Sharpies, but I've got a pack of 10 of these from the pound shop, so I'm going to give them a try. It's got a bullet tip. I've used Sharpies before and it's worked out quite well. Wiping my fingers now. So once I have that coloured in black, I'm probably going to go over not the stand at the top part with glossy accents, or a crackle glaze. Actually a crackle glaze would probably work well. So yeah, I'll use a crackle glaze, which I'll show you later because I only just thought of that. And the last thing I shall be using, as you can see I've got text on mine, is a text stamp. This one is by Visible Image. I've got it upside down. But I quite like this text stamp. It's quite deeply done. You don't have to use a text stamp. You could use a swirly stamp, it's up to you. But that is what I will be using with an additional crackle glaze to colour my tag. Okay, just time to get our fingers dirty. So we're making a version of this tag, and the first thing I'm going to do is the very top piece, which is the dress form, or the chunky dress form. And the reason I'm starting with this piece is the whole tag takes about an hour to do tops, but this piece will take the longest to dry because of the crackle glaze, so we'll do that first. So I've changed my mind a bit on how that's going to look. I'm only now going to colour the base stand in black. So I'm just using my permanent marker to colour that. So it's just the base done. And then I'm going to use the burnt sienna to do the top. Now I'm a messy crafter, my fingers are involved, I'm not too worried about getting dirty. It washes off. Baby wipes are your friend. I'm just applying a thin coat of the paint with my finger. I'm using a tacking lotion in the hopes that the texture I'm creating will stay, but it doesn't really matter because, as I said, that's going to end up with crackle glaze on. Right, this will dry in seconds. It's only a thin coat. Is that dry? So as you can see, I've gone over the stand a little bit. So I'm just going to go back over that part of my black marker. Could leave it as it is. And that's my dress form at the moment. Now, if you remember, I've got my ground espresso ink. This is just a makeup sponge. You get a bag in the pound shop. Various shapes in, but I look for the one with the most wedges in. And it's great for applying distress ink. And I'm just going to ink around the edges to give it a slightly aged look. You could stamp on this if you wanted to. Give it a bit of the design. There you go. I think that gives her a bit more definition. And you don't have to be precise with any of this, it's just how I do it. Okay, crackle glaze. I'm using Deco Art Media crackle glaze. I discovered this about October last year. I quite like it. Oh, it's got glue closed. Okay, so it's just, it dries clear with the crackle. Okay, don't use a sponge applicator for these. I've tried it, it does work, but the results aren't great. Use a brush. In fact, I'm not even going to use that brush. I'm going to use that brush. Use the softest one possible that you've got. And the reason for that is in some of the pastes and mediums you end up with brush marks, and that's great if that's what you're after, but on this occasion I'm not, so I'm going for my softer brush. And you need to apply a decent coat, so think peanut butter, chocolate spread, that sort of thickness. Now you can't heat set this, you have to let it dry naturally, and as I said, that takes sometimes a good hour depending on how thick and how big your piece is. So I'm going to set that to one side to dry. Okay, so since I'm working from the top down, the next thing I'm going to tackle is the wings. So my wings will sit like this. You need to work out which way your wings are going. If you're using this instead of the Fernli wings they do 3 types of wings. My wings go this way up, so obviously I only need to paint that side. So I'm using periwinkle, the H2O as I showed you yesterday. Give that a good shake to get the mica going. A tool that I like is Pringles lids. or lids off the top of the large yoghurt pots. They're really easy to clean. You can put small amounts of paint in them and they're disposable. So I don't tend to spray things as such. Because this gives me more control. So I'm just giving that a quick coat. Sorry, I'm left-handed. I'll switch hands. I could have set the camera up on the other side, but then the problem was that I couldn't see the viewer to check if I'm on screen or not. So it's going to give that a quick dry and then I'm going to give it another coat. Okay, since I'm not doing anything further to these, what I'm going to do is just set them aside and let them dry naturally for the next coat. Get that one out of the way. Okay, the next thing that I'll be working on is the heart and the top. It's these two pieces. So again, I'm going to use my little plastic thing. I don't use the dabber. I find they get clogged up and become frustrating. So again, like the sprays, so that I don't end up with splatter everywhere, I'm just going to put it in there. The kitchen roll, clean that up. Put the lid on because I've got a habit of knocking things over. Okay, so give that a quick coat. And then the same with the tag. Now I am going to be colouring both sides of the tag only because they do sit a little bit apart when you assemble, and it's a better finish if they can't just see bare wood in between, which other people can't just see bare wood, I should say. So a quick last. Right, I'm going to need a bit more red. Okay, use your gloves. I'm not using gloves and I'm already getting coloured in whatever, but I don't mind that. If you're in a job where you can't turn up your fingers that look like you've been after people, might be an idea to wear your gloves. Okay, one of the things I should mention is that I'm going for quite a distressed look to this, which is why I've been using this brush and dadding, so it gives you a rougher application of colour compared to this one where I used a flat brush and it's just a flat coat of colour. I'll show you the difference with the background, because when I do the green I'll do that with a brush so you can see. So I need to do the other side of this now. Ooh, paint everywhere. If you're one of those really clean, tidy crafters, look away. I do try to tidy as I go, but mostly I'm so focused on what I'm making, it kind of gets left till the end. Now I'm only going to give this one coat because it will be on the inside. And that's our front piece done and our heart done. Got a lovely distressed look up the top. Okay, so to further distress this piece, I'm going to go in again with the ground espresso. And I'm just going to hit the edges. Now I only use one ink throughout this whole, or one distress ink pad I should say, throughout the whole make. I'm not sure if you're getting this, but there's kind of gold showing through. I'm hoping my lighting allows you to see that. And then I'm going to do the same with just the front of the tag, not the back. And just applying ink where I like. You don't need to do the distressing part. But for me, steampunk is a bit grungy if you're doing a steampunk version. If you're doing a hearts version or a flowers version, then you might not want to distress. Okay, I haven't put the lid back on to the ink for a reason, so I've got my stamp. I'm just going to randomly apply ink to the stamp. And add some lettering here and there. Oops. I don't use a block most of the time when I'm doing this, because then it's wherever my fingers press is where the text goes. So you can see here at the top I didn't put my fingers there, so the text isn't showing up. Working on the back of your tag, I should have done this right at the very beginning. Line up your two tags, and ideally you'll be doing what I did and using two tags that match. Line up your two tags so that the bottom edge and the side edges are exact. Take your pen and mark inside that hole. Okay. And that's where your hole needs to be to match up if you want to put something through. Now using your crocodile or your single hole punch, I'm using the 3/16 setting, which is the fat one on the crocodile too. I don't know if you can see that going through. And there it is. And because that's got a bit lighter where the hole is, I'm just going to add a bit of distress ink around there, just to tighten that up again. Okay. Distress ink there. Okay, let's get a fresh piece. For the next step, we are going to do this tag. Again, we're going to do front and back because your colour will show through here and if you didn't paper like I did on the back of the tag, you'll have the colour there. I think these are great as gifts because if you put paper on the back, or if you just put a piece of die cut paper on the back, you can put a message, and you could give this as a Christmas card or a birthday card or an encouragement thing or congratulations thing. It's up to you. There's lots of uses for these. Oops, got a shake. This time I'm using a flat brush rather than a dada because I'm going to be using a brushing motion. I find if you work fairly quickly you don't end up with brush marks, and I do overlap when I'm painting. As you can see, that's a fairly smooth coat, not too streaky. Okay, I should say the more coats you put on, the more intense the colour, and that depth of colour was achieved with just 2 coats. That, as you can see, is not very bright in comparison to that one. A bit streaky for my liking, so I'm going to go in with another coat. I think I'd overloaded the brush a bit. And I'm going to apply a 3rd coat going in the other direction. And that colour's quite intense now, so I'm quite happy with that. Each time I dip into here, I give it a little bit of a swirl to get the mica up again, because the mica sinks to the bottom. Okay, to finish off the green tag, the teal one, I need to decide which side's going to be the back. Now, that one here at the top, where I've laid it back on the paper that already had some paint on it, it's got a few marks. That'll be covered up if I use it on the inside. I've got a nice clean canvas there. I mean, if you really want to go distress, keep that on the outside, but I'm going to use that side. So, same as we did with the first tag. Ground espresso. All around the edges. Again, if you're doing a hearts tag or a flowers tag or anything else, you don't have to do this step. It just works with what I'm doing with the steampunk-like theme. So I'm going back with my ink, and as I did with the top one, I'm going to randomly add text. Using my fingers. This is a great technique if you're working with plain paper and you want to add a bit of interest to it. The first time you stamp, it comes out quite dark. If you go over like the same part of the stamp a second time, it gets lighter. So if you can like get that around, it helps.